So man, October 2025 is here, and man, we got a lot of RPGs coming up. So today's video, I got 11 RPGs dropping this month, and trust me, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. We're staring down an absolute market full of good games coming out. Like some of the, higher end games like Ninja Gaiden 4. We also got Dragon Quest 1 and 2 Remake. We got a 50 plus hour promise from Outer Worlds 2. And each one of these is trying to, devour pretty much a good 60 plus hours of our life. And, we got a lot to talk about. By the time I wrap this video, we'll have a crystal clear roadmap, a survival guide essentially for October. This is the spooky season, and they got a lot of RPGs dropping. The list of RPG releases is pretty monstrous, man. But, I'm going to talk about a couple of the first day, some of the big giants, some indies as well. But, for each one, we got to definitely talk about some of the things that why we should play it, why it's going to be pretty cool. And just like I said, some of the games that we may not know of, and I kind of want to bring it to everybody's attention. So let's start with some heavy hitters. We got the big one that's hanging in the air. We have Outer Worlds 2. It's supposed to release October 29th. And pretty much it's another, experience that with reports requesting that the base campaign would clear at least 50 hours, potentially reaching up to 70 hours with DLC. This is quite a massive commitment, but one driven by Obsidian's desire to deliver the kind of meaty, consequence-driven adventure that fans crave, correcting the primary negative feedback that the first game was just simply too short. However, players do need to temper expectations regarding relationships, as some of the developers have clarified a major nuance about the companion system. While Obsidian is focusing on a deep, meaningful, and organic relationship that reacts to your choices, the sequel features 6 purely platonic companions, meaning that the delightful rumor that companions could romance each other entirely without your input is kind of up in the air, say. If you were hoping to secure some form of love interest, then you would pretty much have to make sure might divert that expectation. But we will see when the game fully comes out. Ultimately, though, Outer Worlds 2 promises to be pretty much the ultimate comfort food for fans of that witty corporate satire and just deep role playing. Its increased scope and focus on the role-playing depth is a signal of a major step up for the series, but until October 29th gets here, we kind of have to hold it to a certain criteria. Hopefully it does not run into any problems like Borderlands 4 did when that came out, with any other issues and such. Next game, we have Ninja Gaiden 4, something I am very excited to and I cannot wait for. But it is confirmed to drop on October 20th. This high stakes appeal here is the promise of brutally challenging, pixel perfect action and mastery that the series is famous for. Fans are quite desperate for that polished, that difficult experience where every successful parry and chain combo is earned just through overall skill and dedication. Ninja Gaiden is one of the original OGs when it comes to just that action RPG where skill and timing and combos definitely play a huge point into this game. Now, this game is supposed to be sold at a hefty $70 for the price tag, and if I'm not mistaken, it has a release over on Game Pass as well. But you're pretty much paying top dollar for an experience that appears to be purely solo with a massive just, oh man, this game has a lot from the gameplay that they've been dropping as of late and everything that's been circling around it. But right now, it's definitely something I cannot wait to see. I cannot wait to try out the new character. I think it's Yakino. I gotta bring it back, but also just being able to play with Ryu Hayabusa and this tag team with Platinum Games and Team Ninja. I definitely can't wait to see how well these two studios blend their styles together. Next, of course, for all my JRPG fans, closing out the month on October 30th is a significant moment for JRPG history. We are getting Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and it is getting an HD 2D remake. This is more than just a simple remaster. it is essentially a reconstruction of the two legendary adventures. The Erdrick trilogy, built in the stunning visual style made famous by games like, Octopath Traveler. The initial draw is essentially that gorgeous aesthetic that successfully blends retro sprites with that modern 3D effects. Think of Star Ocean Remake as well. That has that similar style of play. So this was definitely a perfect engine for having Dragon Quest 1 and 2 to be done. Now, the most crucial element of this remake is, of course, the modernization of gameplay. The original Dragon Quest 1 is famously known as the daddy of the JRPG genre, but it is historically known for being simple and grind heavy. Developers have directly addressed this friction by adding vital quality of life features, making sure that this game is functional for the modern day audience, because times are a lot different back then. Hardware wasn't the same, and a lot of devs wanted things to be done in specific ways. That's kind of like how most old games are, but you have to modernize it, right? But the changes are designed to make genre history fully accessible to new players. You don't want to have that tedious grinding, aimless wandering that could deter anybody from joining the JRPGs. Like, that's the problem that a lot of JRPGs had in the past, where it felt like it was like a small circle of people would be able to play these games because they'd put up with it. Let's think about like Elder Scrolls Arena, or even Daggerfall, or even Redguard, where games back then was definitely due to limited hardware, but they were very difficult, and it's hard to play those nowadays, especially for somebody who's not used to it. Square Enix is basically charging $60 for this package. The experience significantly is improved. You are still basically paying full price for two short classic RPGs, but overall, it is something that I definitely recommend anybody get into. Dragon Quest is definitely one of my favorite overall franchises to be able to play, and it's definitely something I can't wait to get my hands on later this month. With the bigger heavy hitters out the way, we got to talk about our indie guys, right? We got to talk about the indies. Absolum is one of the games I covered a little bit earlier in this year. It is basically overall a wild card when it comes to drop on October 9th. It's essentially a roguelike beat 'em up. It is a pure adrenaline rush. I had a blast playing this game. It reminded me of Streets of Rage 4 and other games like it, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Frozen in Time. And the premise is overall straightforward. You select essentially one of the classes, and I think in the demo that I played, you were allowed to play two classes, two very distinctive play styles. So hopefully there's more people you can be able to play when the game fully comes out. But the design choice, man, it's a Brazilian design choice that defines this game is this mechanism for persistent. The game perfects the feeling of just being able to just chain different combos, and it's some of the best side-scrolling gameplay I've seen so far for roguelikes. And of course it is a roguelike, so whatever you find in your given runs, you can basically bring it with you on the next run. And every time you fail, like I said, your attempts are not wasted. They inch you forward, just making you a little stronger for the next run. And of course, it has that seamless drop-in co-op as well, and it has a very expected reasonable indie price point. Absolum is basically a zero risk, high reward proposition. I do have a nice little review of the demo on the channel, so if you want to check that out, definitely go ahead and check that out. I highly recommend it. But it's like indie games are becoming like the new wave. Another one that actually appeared on my radar is Pale Coins. Pale Coins is this top-down, old-school fantasy, kind of Souls-like, with a distinct, gorgeously grotesque pixel art style, and it comes out October 22nd. It offers a grim world filled with brutal bosses, challenging combat, coupled with this Metroid-style exploration. The map design features intricate shortcuts that loop back on themselves, creating just this truly interconnected and rewarding world that begs to be explored. For the dedicated Souls-like audience, their primary concern is always the mechanical integrity of the combat, especially when it comes down to the parry system, because in this genre, the parry window is essentially the difference between life or death, and the game basically ultimate value hinges entirely on the community confirming their responsiveness and timing and how this game looks. Now, just overall, like I said, it came on my radar last minute. Looking at the overall gameplay, it is something that I would like to actually check out myself. If I'm not mistaken, there is a demo as well that you could be able to check out, so I will be playing that soon when I get done with this video. But overall, just looking at the trailer, looking at what this game has to offer, it is visually stunning. It promises a lot, and it promises a nice challenge for anybody who just has that itch to be able to scratch. Now, for all of my tower defense folks out there, we do have another indie game, which is Relic Guardian. This is basically a visceral action RPG, but it's a tower defense. The fantasy style strategy game asks you basically to, you get summon defense towers, spells, and just hero companions that allow you to be able to, it basically puts a twist on the typical tower defense formula. The core appeal is that you're not really relegated to passive spectating. You jumped out into the fray yourself, punch monsters, you cast spells, and this is another one. Just looking at the trailer, seems like this is something that it's taking what we already know with a lot of strategy-based games like that, and kind of adding a little bit more of a spin to it, kind of bringing this action RPG style combat to it. But it's another one that I definitely highly recommend for anybody who's a big fan of tower defenses to definitely go check it out. Now, for some of my honorable mentions for this list, because this was quite a lot of games, but we got to talk about Digimon Story Time Stranger. Now, this game is already out, but so far I've been hearing nothing but good news, and I actually was really intrigued by it when they first announced it a little bit earlier this year. I believe it was at Gamescom. But essentially, Digimon, it's Digimon, but this is probably the most Digimon I've seen recently get this most love, and it launched already, but it's already getting plenty great reviews. It looks absolutely fantastic, and it has some open world aspects as well. The story uses this time travel narrative that gives players a significant emotional payoff. Mechanic allows you to meet smaller Digimon in the past and then witness them mature both physically through Digivolution and as well as emotionally as they play pivotal roles later in the present timeline. This structural choice ensures that time spent with the cast is rewarded through a visible character and narrative growth. Now, while the turn-based combat is straightforward, its depth comes from mastering type matchups and tinkering with parties' evolutions as well. Now, overall, this is definitely the most I've seen Digimon get this most love, and honestly, it might be receiving more love than Pokemon. Do not shoot me in the comment section, because I said that for all my Pokemon fans out there. Don't shoot me. I'm sorry. But Lost Eidolons Veil of the Witch, this is the next tactical RPG spinoff. It's a reliable pick because it is exiting early access on October 9th. This transition is a massive indicator of developer confidence, suggesting the game's claimed core loop, which combines classic tactical grid combat with roguelike elements. And it's now this structure of high replayability, allowing players to jump into randomized runs after each failure. And overall, it is ample time for this game. Received a lot of feedback on how to improve the strategic combat mechanics, offering just a strong challenge for anybody who is a tactical fan. The primary weakness is a narrative scope. There's not too much going on from the trailer that I've seen so far. And if you guys have actually checked out Lost Eidolons yourself, let me know what you think about the narrative in itself. But from some of the people I've seen talking about it who were in that early bit of early access, it just has a generic European fantasy setting. Not too much is going on through there. And of course, the last game on this list is one game that I just posted on the channel. Shrine's Legacy is a true developer passion project. This game launched on October 7th. It immediately shines with this absolutely gorgeous pixel art that successfully just evoked the golden age of 16-bit RPGs and classic Super Nintendo co-op titles. The world is vibrant, the characters are clearly lovely and crafted, making it a beautiful game to look at and explore. However, the game nails the visuals, the nostalgia, the combat is very simplified. It definitely reminds you of older Super Nintendo games. The action can feel a bit floaty, lack the expected, impact compared to some of the modern action RPGs, but that's the point. It hits that nostalgia side. If you think back to old Legend of Zelda games or Illusions of Gaia, that combat is very similar, just a little bit more perfected. There you have it. That's the 11 RPGs that I was able to grab up and just showcase for today's video. And these games, I feel like, is definitely worth a lot of people's time and money. So definitely go check it out. If you haven't checked out the demos, I highly recommend you to go check out the demos. I want to know what your guys' day one picks are in the comment section below. And of course, as always, other than that, Outcast, let me know your favorite RPG moments. Hop in the Discord if you want to chat more about your favorite games. Sub to the channel for more deep dives on your favorite games. But always stay safe out there, Outcast. It has been your host, KSDTV, signing out. Peace.